What's up, guys? Welcome to a new day. I'm Stephanie Ryder, and this is the 365 Shares podcast. It's January 18th, 2024, and this is the 18th episode of the 365 Shares podcast. Today's topic is New Way of Life. And the Big Red Book says, we ask the adult child considering ACA to look at the program as a way of life that will unfold over time, bringing rich rewards of emotional relief and self-acceptance. And this was a great passage for me today because I went out and played pickleball for the first time. And I played pickleball with some people from my ACA group. They created a little ACA social text chain, and they invite people to do things, go listen to cover bands, go dancing, play pickleball, all different stuff. And it was cool. And I had played tennis for fun and in I'd take PE or college tennis classes and played around, but I'd never played for a team and I never played pickleball. But I did okay. I don't know all the rules yet, but it was fun just to sort of run around and get some sun and get some exercise that's different than what I normally do. And just with the emotional anxiety, I guess, that comes from doing something new, I felt like I got tired really quickly, more than the level of fitness that I am in. But I think some of that was just emotional. I had to get there. I had to find everybody and learn the rules and start playing around. And it was cool, but it was nice because the people that were there from ACA were really chill. And one of the girls just was like, oh, you've never played before. And she took me over to a court that nobody was using and gave me a 20-minute lesson probably, and was so patient. And if I missed a bunch of serves because you're supposed to serve from behind the right quadrant and supposed to serve into the opposing quadrant, similar to tennis. And I just kept missing the box that I was supposed to get the ball into. But she was so super patient, which was amazing and really sweet about it. And so we just played and volleyed and practiced. And then I played a game with, doubles game with someone else. And our side lost, I think, but it was really fun and we did pretty well. And it was cool for me because I remember a couple years ago when I first wandered into ACA with a former partner, and I was thinking that there were some people in there that seemed like they'd been there for a long time just based on their shares. And I was like, man, I really would hate if I was in, this position where I was still coming all the time years from now. I don't want to be in this for 20 years. But now the more that I've been in it, I would say I've been going in earnest for over a year. And I think it's a great group of people. And I liked this passage for today's affirmation, or the passage from the Big Red Book, because it says to look at the program as a way of life that will unfold over time, bringing rich rewards of emotional relief and self-acceptance. And I definitely think the more I get involved in ACA, not only does my mental health improve, but also just the circle of people who treat me respectfully and who honor my feelings and my boundaries and my limits, and who celebrate my abilities. Everyone was super nice today about, how well I was trying to get into the swing of things. And the happier I am, just the more of those people that I have in my life. So I hope that it's not something that I need, that I'm a crying mess all the time, years from now. I'm not a crying mess all the time now. But I hope it's not something that I need, or I'm going to have a crazy relapse. But I also hope it's something that I maintain going forward, even beyond holding this group service representative role, that it just is a part of my life forever, hopefully, because I think I just get so much out of it. I'm Steph, and this is my share. The affirmation for today is, on this day, I will realize my emotions are part of a gift from my higher power, a gift called me. And that affirmation really speaks to the passage for January 18th in the Strengthening My Recovery book. And it talks about how ACA is different than other programs. And it doesn't specifically name other programs, but it talks about programs where you can't feel certain feelings, maybe anger is not an appropriate emotion, so you try really hard to suppress anger. And it talks about other programs where we're told to take it to God, or I've heard let go and let God. That's a common phrase in Al-Anon. And it's saying, if we still don't feel like the complete version of ourselves, if we're shutting off certain feelings and emotions, and if it's not enough just to give it up and give it to God and like stop thinking about it, if we don't grow ourselves from just letting other people's problems wander out of our lives, then ACA is really that missing piece. And I really think it's so incredible. The whole psychology community and therapeutic community is like just now kind of realizing that everything that's laid out in ACA is like the best way to treat someone and to heal someone. So it's really kind of incredible to be a part of this and also just be in this period of time when post-pandemic mental health is so important, much more than it has been ever in the past. And it's something that I had started for years, just really getting super hardcore, like going as deep as I possibly could in my own mental health. So it's really refreshing to see it take off and be something that we really started talking about as a people and a community. And I remember sitting in therapy a few years ago, like before the pandemic, and saying, there are 0 cognitive behavioral therapy phone apps. Like I was like, there are no therapy apps where if you have anxiety, other than just opening like Candy Crush or any of those games, which they do sort of help your brain not fixate on the things that it's in a loop about, but no actual, just like you have anxiety, open your CBT app and work through your anxiety. And now there are so many things like that. There's, one that's for eating. They have apps where you can just do therapy through FaceTime. And there are apps where you can do exercises and train your brain in different ways to like change your thought patterns and build new neural pathways. So it's really just in just a few short years, the strides that we've made, I feel, in therapy and psychology are so great. And the way that it's been embraced by everyone I think like largely in the US, I can't speak for everyone, but like it's pretty common all over social media, especially like we talk about mental illness, we talk about wellness, we talk about trauma. It's everywhere. And I think it's amazing because that's like everything that I was so into like suddenly blew up and now everyone's into it. And it was kind of a weird leveler of the playing field, I felt, when we went through the pandemic, because I had some pretty significant early childhood trauma that most people in my life that found out about it would sort of like put me in a mental box of like, oh, there was a big thing when I was in my 20s. Like there was this song by a girls group called Danity Kane called Damaged, and just how like these girls are just so damaged beyond repair. And there really was this mentality of like, you just couldn't come back from certain things. And now you were a different class of person and a lesser class of person. And now that conversation has really changed so much. But the pandemic, especially, I felt like all these people that had quote unquote good childhoods, and they were just coping in life, but like not really optimized. Suddenly the pandemic hit them so hard. And it was like, oh, now everybody is sort of on this level playing field of having experienced trauma and major world events and isolation and anxiety and depression. And it was so widespread. And I felt like I had gotten a 3-year start on a marathon that everyone else just like jumped into and started running. And it was kind of amazing because I felt like I was just so many steps ahead of the game in terms of what it now means to be a healthy person. Because 10 years ago, there was a very different definition of what a healthy person was. And you could drink as much as you want, as long as you made a lot of money and you were cool. You were skinny. That was so important. And now there's such a different definition of wellness and health and like the mind-body connection. And so I think that's a really amazing thing. And I just come back to this affirmation for today. On this day, I will realize my emotions are part of a gift from my higher power, a gift called me. And it feels good to think about myself as the sum of my emotions because I have so many emotions. And I must be a really awesome person to fit all of them in my brain. So I hope you all think you are awesome for having all of your emotions. And I hope that they all get a seat at the table because much like the movie Inside Out, we all have these different competing feelings within us. And if we don't honor all of them and at least let them have their say, then they cause trouble for us. So appreciate yourself, appreciate your feelings. None of them are bad. They're all healthy. They're all normal. We all have them. And just love yourself.